So, hello, dear my students. Welcome back to the second part of our chapter Women, Caste, and Reform. So, till now, we have looked upon the introduction, like what was the situation of women and the different kind of caste in the previous time in our India, what works has been done to bring some changes, like we have read about some reformers who have taken some initiatives to change some lives. So, to continue the series, now today's topic we are going to start, that is changing the life of widows. So, as we have read previously that Raja Ram Mohan Roy stopped the Sati Pratha because he felt that it is very unjust practice that is being practiced with the women at that time. So, when he stopped that Sati Pratha, what happened after that? So, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was particularly moved by the problems widows faced in their lives. He began a campaign against the practice of sati. So, when he just felt that it is not good what was happening at that time, so he started some campaigns against this practice. We all know that he was well versed in Sanskrit, Persian, and several other Indian and European languages. So he tried to show through his writings that this practice of widow burning had no sanction in the ancient texts. So, as we read more about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, we used to found that whatever things he used to show, or if he's saying something is good or something is bad, he's he always had some evidence. So he always used ancient text to consider the evidence that there was no sanction that any girl should be burned like that. So, by the early 19th century, as you have read in chapter 6, many British officials had also begun to criticize Indian traditions and customs. Now, you will write that in comment section that what was the criticism we have read in the previous chapter. What were the most criticized matter that has been taken arise in the last chapter? Okay, so as they have started criticizing, so they were therefore more willing to listen to Rajaram Mohan Roy, who was reputed to be a learned man. And in this context, after taking so much initiatives, finally in 1829, Sati was completely banned. Now we can't say here completely, but this act was passed that now Sati will not be practiced more in our country. So this strategy adopted by Rajaram Mohan Roy was used by later reformers as well. So whatever he has done, the later comings reformers has also followed the same thing. So whenever they wished to challenge a practice that seemed harmful, what they used to try? They used to find a verse or sentence in the ancient secular text that supported their point of view. So as I have told you earlier also, okay, if he's saying that don't do this or do this, so he just don't say on the behalf or on the any point of view. He just have he just try to find any evidence so that anyone can believe, because if you are saying something to someone, they won't believe if you don't have any evidence. So if you will show them the evidence, they will try to think upon it also. So he has also done the same thing. Whatever things he tried to speak or to convey to the civilians or to the citizens of that country, he always had some evidence. So in that evidence, he always shows some ancient secular texts that supported his point of view. So they then suggested that the practice as it existed at present was against early tradition also. Now we can look upon this picture. This picture is called as hook swinging festival. Here you can see two people are hereby hung, and the most harsh thing about this festival was that in this popular festival, devotees underwent a peculiar form of suffering as part of ritual worship. With hooks through their skin, they sung themselves on wheel. In the 19th century, When European officials began criticizing Indian customs and rituals as barbaric, this was one of the rituals that came under attack. It means in this ritual, what happened that the those who used to perform this practice, their skin was pierced with the hook. It means that hook was not gone through their clothes, it was directly gone pierced through their skin. So you can even feel when we are speaking about this how much pain they have just gone through by this. But they don't took it in the negative way. They felt that it is a ritual. If we will do this, then our god will become happy, or we will come more close to our god. So in this thinking, they used to practice these kind of rituals. Now, so, for instance, one of the most famous reformers, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, used the ancient text that suggest widows could remarry also. Now, one thing we have already read that in 1829, Raja Ram Mohan Roy banned the sati pratha. Now, to continue this more, what Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar he saw that now it was banned, so we should also do something for the beneficial of those widows. Now, we have also seen that there was a huge difference between the age of the bride and the groom also at that time, because when the girl turned to be 8 or 9, she used to get married, and to whom she used to get married, his age was like 24 or 25 or 30 years of age. So there was a huge difference. And if her husband died, now what she will do for the whole life? So he suggested that the girl should remarry. So his suggestion was adopted by British officials, and this law was passed in 1856. Now in this chapter, this is very important to remember the years. Till now we have read about 3 years. First one was that Brahma Samaj. It was established in 1828. In 1829, sati was completely banned, and in 1856, Widows Remarry Act was passed by Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Okay, so don't forget these dates; these are very very important. So it passed in 1856, permitting widow remarriage. Those who were against the remarriage of widows opposed Vidyasagar and even boycotted him. This you can also experience in your daily life. If someone is trying to do something better, it also has some criticism around him. So, all the people who were not happy with him, he opposed him also and tried to boycott it also. So, by the second half of the 19th century, the movement in favor of widow remarriage spread to other parts of the country. But if there is something criticism about something, so but it has some positive aspects also, no? So in this way, this movement also spreaded in the different kind of parts of the country. So, in Telugu speaking areas of Madras Presidency, Veer Salingam Pantulu formed All Association for Widow Remarriage. Around the same time, young intellectuals and reformers in Bombay pledged themselves to working for the same cause. Now we can say different reformers were coming forward for the same noble cause, and they were taking part in this. Now, in the north, there was one person whose name was Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He founded the reform association called Arya Samaj, and it was founded in 1875. Now, again, this is time to remember one more year, that is 1875. And what was done in that year? Swami Dayanand Saraswati founded the Arya Samaj, an organization that attempted to reform the Hinduism. Now, yet the number of widows who actually remarried remained low. Those who married were not easily accepted in society, and conservative groups continued to oppose the new law. Now, as the law was passed of Widows Remarriage Act, we can see widows were started to remarry again, but that number was quite low, and those who were doing that, they were also not being accepted by the society. But we know if something has started, it has some negative side in the starting, but as slowly or gradually changes we can see in the society, some changes happen but they took time. Now we can see this is completely changed nowadays. Now next, we will see girls begin going to school also. Now as we have seen the condition changing of the widows, now we will see girls have also started to join the schools. Many of the reformers felt that the education for girls was necessary in order to improve the condition of women. So Vidyasagar in Calcutta and many other reformers in Bombay set up schools for girls. When these first schools were opened in the mid 19th century, many people were afraid of them. Now, as again there was a starting of something new, so Vidyasagar felt that now girls should also join the schools. It is very important for their livelihood. There will be some improvement in their thinking, in their critical way of thinking about the society, and it will improve their condition also. So, schools were started opening, but some people were afraid to send their girls to the schools. They feared that schools would take girls away from the home, prevent them from doing domestic duties. Now, what people were thinking that if they will study, now who will do the work? So, moreover, girls had to travel through public places in order to reach the school. Many people felt that this would have a corrupting influence on them. So, what they used to feel that girls should stay away from these kind of public places, they should only reside at their home and they should only do the domestic duties, and when they will turn to 8 or 9 or 10 they should get married as early as possible because that was a curse over them. If they will get their girls married, they will just get out of the duty and they will be free, but that is not completely true. So, therefore, throughout the 19th century, most educated women were taught at home by their liberal fathers or husbands. Now, what things have started, people said that, okay, you are saying that girls should get educated also. So, what they will do? They will not go out for the study, they will be taught by their husbands or their fathers. So, sometimes women taught themselves. Do you remember what you read about Rajchandra Devi in your book Social and Political Life last year? She was one of those who secretly learned it to read and write in the flickering light of candles at night. Now, you have read about Rajchandra Devi in the class 7. In the daytime, she used to do all the domestic work, and in the light at the night, she used to study in the flickering light of that candle. So, in the later part of the century, school for girls was established by Arya Samaj in Punjab, Jyotirao Phule in Maharashtra. In aristocratic Muslim household in North India, women learned to read the Quran in Arabic. Now, these were the changes that you may see. So they were taught by women who came to home to teach. Some reformers were also there, like Mumtaz Ali. He reinterpreted verses from the Quran to argue for women's education. The first Urdu novels began to be written for the late 19th century. Amongst other things, they were meant to encourage women to read about the religion, domestic management, and a language they could understand. Now, you can see a photograph here that is of the students of Hindu Mahila Vidyalaya in 1875. So, there was a very good initiative taken by that school. Like at the time when people were not allowing their girls to go to school, if they are allowing, there was a condition that there will not be any boy. Or one thought was also spreading all over the India, like at that time, that if boys are reading something, it means they have very good intellectual ability, so girls can't read that same syllabus. But this school started the same curriculum that boys were reading at the same time. So the Hindu Mahila Vidyalaya was one of the first institutions to provide girls with the kind of learning that was useful for the boys at that time. And you know that this kind of stereotypal thinking is already completely changed in today's time. You can have so many examples like Kalpana Chawla, Mrs. Sorry, Draupadi Murmu, she's your current president. So, all they are what? They all are girls and they are very reputed and having a great respect in the country and having a great reputation, and they are able to get the best position in their work. So, this is not written anywhere. If we are what we have told you that whenever Rajaram Mohan try to criticize something, he always have some evidence like don't do this. So there is also not any evidence present to us that girls can't read what boys are reading. So those things are starting changes, and till now these are all things are going on and changing also. Now we will come to our next topic, that is women write about women. So as the things were changing, women have also started practicing or taking part in the media time. So from the early 20th century, Muslim women like Begums of Bhopal played a notable role in promoting women education among women. They founded a primary school for girls at Aligarh. Another remarkable woman, Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hussain, started schools for Muslim girls in Patna. She was a fearless critic of conservative ideas, arguing that religious leaders of every faith accorded an inferior place to women. What she used to do, she was not in the favor of all those conservative ideas that were spreading at that time. So by the 1880, Indian women started to enroll themselves in universities. Now they were trained to be the doctors. They have started being teachers. Some women began to write also. Whatever they used to feel about themselves, whatever they used to feel about the situation of the country, they felt very positive in the in presenting their views, and they started writing. So in this context, we again have a very famous name with us, that is Tarabai Shinde, a woman educated at home at Pune, published a book that is Tri Purush Tulna. Now you can see the name that itself suggested a comparison between women and men. Its name is Stri Purush Tulna. So it what book it was about? It was about the criticizing the social differences between men and women. It was not that in this book she has shown men inferior, but she has written something like what were the differences at that time in the society against the women, what men were doing, what women were not allowed to do that, what men were thinking, women were not allowed to even thinking about that. So these kind of differences she has just mentioned in that book. Next is we have Pandita Ramabai, a great scholar of Sanskrit, felt that Hinduism was oppressive towards women. That particular religion that didn't allow the women to even think in a creative way. So she also wrote a book about the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women. Now, what was the main difference in the previous time? That we are talking that women were not allowed to getting education. Oh, we are saying that some people can't afford to give the education to the women as they were poor, but the situation was very harsh for the upper caste Hindi women also, because what they used to think that we are very good and we are very rich. Now what is the use? Why should we send our women to get educated? What they will do about that? Because we have a proper wealth. So these were some critics. She also founded a widow's home at Pune that provided shelter to widows who had been treated badly by their husband's relative. So here women were trained so that they could support themselves economically. Now here women were given the training so that they can be independent in their family. Again, as so many things were changing and so many things were improving for the girls, so it was obvious that some Orthodox people will get alarmed by this. So, for instance, many Hindu nationalists felt that Hindi women were adopting the Western ways, and what would do? It would corrupt Hindu culture and erode the family values, because they knew if women will get educated, they will learn how to take stand for themselves, how to take stand for the self respect of themselves. They would try to improve their dignity, and this was not accepted by some Orthodox men. So, Orthodox Muslims were also worried because about the impact of these changes. As you can see, by the end of 19th century, women themselves were actively working for reform. They wrote books, they edited magazines, they founded schools and training centers, and set up women associations. Now, from the early 20th century, they formed political pressure groups to pushed through laws for female suffrage the right to vote. Now, what happened? This was very important movement that was started in 1920s and during the USA and Americas. Like women were taking part, they were struggling for their right to vote. This movement was known as movement to suffrage. Suffrage means right to vote, and the women who took part in this movement they were known to be as suffragettes. So better health care and education for women. Some of them joined various kind of nationalist and socialist movement that was started from 1920s. In the 20th century, many leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, they have also lent their supports for the greater equality and freedom for women. National leader promised that there will be full suffrage for all men and women after independence. Now, what they have told that was very important. That they told them that till for now we have only one focus, that is anti-British struggles. That first of all we should concentrate on these anti-British struggles. When we will get independence, we will try to do something definitely for the benefit of women. So that's all for today. Hope you have get the better understanding of this chapter. So we will meet again on the third part. Thank you.